Welcome back. We've been doing a lot with Mission 2 here in Get Coding, and I want you to make sure you do this in order. If you skip around or try to start here without doing what you needed to do in Mission 1, you will have a lot of problems. So go back, start where you need to. Let's get caught up before you proceed with this. Next, we're going to be talking about using variables and operators. You need to pay close attention to these instructions. You need to follow along. You can always go back and watch the video again or multiple times if need be. Now, with this one, we're going to have several videos here because this is in parts. And I don't want to overwhelm you by dragging this on and on and on. First off, let's discuss what is a variable and then what are the parts in that variable. First off, variables are an important part of JavaScript. They're a way to store information in your web browser for a short period of time. You can use them, the stored data, to build programs that make your web page interactive. And that's what we're trying to do here with this password, is make it interactive. Without the variables, though, your browser has no way of remembering the information. The variables help link it all together. So it's critical that you set these up and set them up correctly. You leave one part out and then you get a coding error because it doesn't understand what you're trying to do. And that's when people get frustrated. Slow down, pay attention to the details. When you use the JavaScript coded program that will check a password, you need to use a variable to store the data for the correct password. Without that variable, the browser cannot tell whether or not the correct password was used. So you have to make sure that it's spelled correctly, that it's written correctly, and that it's there. If it's not there, it's not going to ask for a password. Or if it's not there correctly, you may put in the correct password, but the system doesn't see that it's correct. Or if you put it in correctly, but you put in the password incorrect, again, it still will not let you in. So keep all that in mind. The variables do store data in a form of words or numbers. Again, this is where you can use a number password, you can use words, you can use a mix of all that. You have to code the variables in a certain way, though, for it to work. It goes in order. If you change that up, then it doesn't read it as code. And you always have to tell the browser that you're creating a variable. So, again, here for your Chromebook, we're going to be using your text. So go down to your launcher, find text, type that in. Now, right now we're starting with new. We'll come back to what we've saved. Remember index, page 1 and page 2. We're going to go new though. Something I want you to look at is when I was talking about the variables, we got to have a variable keyword such as var. Yeah, it's not a complete word. It's not spelled all the way, but it can still be considered a variable keyword. I may put var1. That is still a keyword. So keep this in mind as what you come up with. And if the instructions tell you to use something specific, do so. Don't try to come up with your own because it's going to get confusing later on. Now, the next one is the variable name. So, excuse me, we have to have the variable keyword like that because that tells the computer what we're doing. I'm ahead of myself. I do apologize. VAR tells the computer you're working with a variable now and it now knows what to handle. The name of the variable, let's say dog name, is specific. This is the name of this variable, and now they know what it's called, and when it sees dog name, it knows where to go back to read the instructions. But also notice here, they didn't capitalize the first name, the first letter, but they capitalized the second word. This is a way called camel identifiers where it's kind of a camelback that you can actually sit there and see how they've got different words combined into one. Something to remember. Next, we've got our equal sign and then our quotes. But notice there's a space in there. And then in quotes. Again, you have to pay attention. Where there's a space, where there's a punctuation, you have to follow that exactly. And then our semicolon. Remember, the semicolon tells it to end, that we're through with this. This word here that I've put in quotes, earnest, that is called your value. And that's what it's looking for as the password. We're saying we're doing a variable name, or is called dog name, and then the value we're looking for is earnest. If I put earnest1 here, then it would look for a password called earnest1. Now, there's three parts to a variable, or three things. We've got the keyword, and excuse my spelling, which was var. You have the variable name, which is dog name. And then you have the value, which is earnest. All right. Now, that helps define what a variable is. We're going to pause this video, take a break, take a deep breath, use the restroom or whatever you need to do, and then we're going to go to the next video from the next part. You do need all of these videos to be able to complete this mission 2 part using variables and operators, so don't skip around.